Long Island medium Theresa Caputo's heartbreaking decision. Long Island medium Theresa Caputo recently took an emotional step. She has released her ex-husband Larry Kaput from prison on a court order. Despite their long separation, Theresa's love for Larry has never waned. She has realized that Larry has been her true companion in every aspect of her life. That is why Theresa wants to start a new life with Larry, a new chapter, one built on love and forgiveness. Theresa Caputo had always believed in messages from beyond, but she never expected to receive the most important one from her own heart. Years had passed since she and Larry parted ways. Their lives drifted in different directions, their bond seemingly a relic of the past. But fate, as always, had a strange way of circling back. When Larry found himself imprisoned after a series of bad choices and unfortunate circumstances, Theresa was devastated. She had tried to move on, burying the pain beneath readings, cameras, and the comforting presence of spirits. But love is a spirit of its own. Late one night, alone in her Long Island home, Theresa sat by the window, looking up at the stars. She felt something stir, a warmth, a message, not from beyond, but from within. It was Larry's voice, not calling from the other side, but from a place she never thought she'd hear it again, her heart. The next morning, she made a decision. With the help of her legal team, Theresa filed a request for Larry's early release. It was a long shot, but her reputation and the circumstances of his case gave her hope. Weeks later, the court granted her request. Larry walked out of prison to find Theresa waiting for him, eyes full of tears, hands trembling, heart wide open. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. He didn't speak. He just pulled her into a hug that said everything words couldn't. Now, as they rebuild their lives together in a quiet beach town on Long Island, Theresa and Larry are rediscovering the beauty of second chances. Their days are filled with laughter, healing, and quiet moments that need no spiritual guide to understand. Theresa still connects with the beyond, but now her greatest miracle is firmly rooted in the here and now. Sometimes the greatest message isn't from the other side, it's from the love that never left. However, Theresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, had seen her share of sorrow over the years. But nothing prepared her for the visit from Mark and Elaine Thompson, parents drowning in grief after the sudden, tragic death of their 19-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily had gone missing one rainy November evening. For days, the entire town searched. Hopes ran high, then slowly began to fade. A week later, it was Elaine who found her, collapsed in their backyard shed, clutching a necklace she never took off. The cause, an undiagnosed heart condition. The guilt and sorrow consumed them. When the Thompsons reached out to Theresa, they were skeptical. Not sure what to expect, but desperate for closure. Theresa welcomed them into her cozy Long Island home, candles flickering, the scent of lavender lingering in the air. As soon as they sat down, Theresa's expression changed. "There's a young girl here. She keeps holding her chest. She says it was no one's fault," Theresa whispered, tears welling up. "She says, 'Tell Mom I wasn't alone. Grandma was there waiting.'" Elaine gasped. Only the family knew Lily used to speak to her grandmother's photo, claiming she could still feel her around. "She says she left the necklace on purpose," Theresa continued, "so you'd know she was at peace. She's showing me sunflowers. Do they mean something?" Mark nodded silently. Sunflowers were Lily's favorite. She planted them every spring. As the reading went on, laughter replaced tears, if only for a moment. Theresa channeled Lily's messages of love, forgiveness, and reassurance. The room, once heavy with grief, felt lighter. When the Thompsons left, they weren't healed, but they were changed. They carried Lily's messages in their hearts, feeling her presence in every sunflower, every breeze, every quiet whisper from beyond. However, it was a quiet afternoon in Hicksville when Theresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, received a call from her old friend Luna, a well-known spiritual healer from upstate New York. "Theresa, Luna said softly, "I've been feeling off lately. Like something's trying to come through, but I can't hear it clearly." Theresa instantly felt the chill. She knew the feeling Luna described. Something from the other side was lingering. "Come over," Theresa said. "Let me see what Spirit's trying to say." The next day, Luna arrived wrapped in a shawl that smelled of sage and lavender. As she entered Theresa's cozy home, lined with family pictures and candles, the air shifted. Theresa closed her eyes. "Do you have a connection to a man named Samuel? He's showing me an old wooden staff and herbs. He's very protective of you." Luna gasped. "Samuel was my great-grandfather. He was a healer, too." "He's saying thank you," Theresa continued, her voice softening, "for continuing the family gift. But he says you've been ignoring your own needs. You're healing everyone but yourself." Luna's eyes welled up. It was true. She had poured so much into others that she had forgotten to care for her own spirit. "There's also a woman here, an older woman, very elegant. She's handing you a rose made of quartz," Theresa said. "That's my Aunt May," Luna whispered. "She always gave me crystals as a child. She says, use your gift, but don't forget your heart. It's not just a tool, it's part of your soul." The room felt warm now, almost glowing. Luna placed her hand over her heart. "Thank you, Theresa. I needed this more than I realized." Theresa smiled. Even healers need healing sometimes. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, the two women sat together in peaceful silence, one who spoke to spirits and the other remembered her own. However, it was a rainy afternoon in a quiet suburb of Long Island. Emma sat on her couch, holding a small pair of baby booties she had bought months ago. Her heart still ached from the loss. She had miscarried her baby at 12 weeks, and the pain lingered like a shadow. Her sister, concerned for her well-being, convinced her to attend a live event with Theresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. Emma was hesitant. She wasn't sure if she believed in mediums, but something inside her whispered to go. The theater was packed. Theresa walked out in her signature heels and big blonde hair, full of energy and warmth. She began connecting with spirits in the audience, her eyes scanning the crowd as if guided by something unseen. Then she stopped and pointed toward Emma's row. "I'm getting a very strong presence," Theresa said. "A baby, a soul that didn't get to grow up. A miscarriage. Who here lost a baby very early?" Emma's breath caught in her throat. She raised her trembling hand. Theresa walked closer. "Sweetheart, your baby wants you to know that they felt nothing but love. They came to you to remind you that your heart is strong enough to carry that love forward. And they're still with you, just in a different way." Tears streamed down Emma's face. She didn't understand how Theresa could have known, but in that moment, it didn't matter. A sense of peace she hadn't felt in months began to settle in her heart. Theresa smiled gently. "Your baby wants you to remember you were, and always will be, their mother." However, it was a crisp March evening in Long Island, and Theresa Caputo was celebrating her birthday in true Theresa fashion. Big hair, high heels, and a heart full of love. Her family had rented a charming banquet hall adorned with twinkling fairy lights, soft pink balloons, and photos from every stage of her life. Laughter and clinking glasses filled the room as friends and relatives toasted to her special day. But Theresa had a surprise of her own. As the party reached its peak, she took the mic and smiled at her guests. "You didn't think I'd go the whole night without doing a few readings, did you?" she teased, and the room burst into applause. She closed her eyes for a moment, tuning into the energy. Within seconds, she pointed toward a woman sitting near the back, her face suddenly pale. "You, sweetheart in the green dress. Your dad passed unexpectedly, right?" The woman gasped and nodded slowly. "He says he's proud of how you handled things after he passed, and he's showing me a gold watch. Does that mean something?" Tears filled the woman's eyes. "I wear it every day," she whispered. Gasps rippled through the room. Theresa moved on, turning toward a group of her cousins. "There's a man here. Big personality, always joking. He keeps saying bingo. Did Uncle Tony use to call out bingo numbers? Her cousin Marissa nearly dropped her wine glass. That was his thing at every family party. Theresa grinned. He's here, making everyone laugh still. As the readings continued, the atmosphere shifted from festive to reverent. Guests began realizing that this wasn't just a birthday party. It was a gathering of souls, both living and past. The connections were undeniable. Strangers cried together. Families hugged tighter. Even skeptics stared in wide-eyed disbelief. Finally, Theresa closed the night with a message for everyone in the room. Your loved ones never really leave you. They show up in dreams, in songs on the radio, and sometimes at birthday parties. The room erupted in emotional applause. It was a birthday no one would ever forget, not because of the cake or the music, but because of the invisible guests who'd shown up to say, "We're still here." However, it was a quiet autumn afternoon in Long Island when Theresa Caputo received a message from her assistant. A man named David Rosen had requested a reading. He didn't give much detail, only that he felt a deep, unexplained emptiness he couldn't shake. When David arrived at Theresa's home, he was in his early 40s, with tired eyes and a nervous smile. Theresa greeted him warmly, sensing the emotional weight he carried. I feel a strong presence here, Theresa said as she closed her eyes. A man, he's showing me an old, tattered notebook. There are numbers on his arm. He's whispering something in Yiddish. David's eyes widened. My father, he whispered. He was a Holocaust survivor, but he never spoke about it. He passed when I was just 10. Theresa nodded slowly. He says he wrote letters, but he hid them. He didn't want you to carry the pain he carried. David stared in disbelief. Letters? Where? Theresa took a deep breath, then opened her eyes. He's showing me a box, hidden in the attic. Behind the old piano, under the loose floorboard. Shaken but intrigued, David returned to his childhood home the next day. The attic was dusty and filled with forgotten furniture. Just as Theresa said, behind the piano, beneath a creaky board, was a weathered metal box. Inside were dozens of letters written in careful handwriting, letters to David never sent. Each one told pieces of his father's story. The loss of his family in Auschwitz, the struggle to find hope again, and finally, the deep love he had for his son, even when he couldn't find the words to express it aloud. Through those letters, David felt a connection he thought had been lost forever. He returned to Theresa a week later, tears in his eyes. You gave me my father back, he said. Theresa smiled. No, sweetheart, he never left. He just needed you to hear him. However, Theresa Caputo stood in the dimly lit living room of a modest home in Queens, New York. The smell of incense hung in the air, mingling with the tension of the family sitting before her. Photos of loved ones, some faded, some recent, covered the mantel. The Ortiz family sat together, hands entwined, eyes wide with hope and heartbreak. Their patriarch deported to El Salvador 3 years ago. His sudden removal had left a hole in the family's heart, especially for his teenage daughter, Lucia, who hadn't spoken a word since. Theresa took a deep breath. Her hands tingled, the way they always did when spirit energy was strong. I'm getting a very strong male presence, she said softly. He says he's a father, and he misses his daughter. He keeps saying Lucia, mi estrella. Lucia gasped. That had been her father's nickname for her, my star. Theresa's voice wavered, her Long Island accent thick with emotion. He says he watches over you every day. He says he's sorry he couldn't come back, but he never left you. Tears spilled down Lucia's cheeks. For the first time in years, she whispered, I miss you, Papa. Theresa blinked, her own eyes moist. He hears you, sweetheart, and he wants you to smile again for him. In that room, time felt suspended. The family cried together, but this time the tears were healing. Though Alejandro was miles away in a place they could not reach, for a fleeting moment, love transcended borders, pain, and even death. As Theresa gathered her things, she smiled at Lucia. "Your star is still shining, honey. Never forget that." And with that, the Long Island medium left another home filled with hope where there had only been silence. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Mina. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.